in 2004 where I was having difficulty with my manager, and I was in management at that time in my career, and my responsibilities were uh, directly correlating with his responsibilities, and we were clashing. And throughout the years of my career, I never felt like I didn't want to go to work. I enjoyed my work. I enjoyed the experience of going to work from day to day, and the different interactions that would take place, and you know my ability to grasp professional concepts in the medical field, and to just explore and continue to learn. And it was the perfect career for me. It kept me uh, really engaged in work. So I never had a problem with showing up to work. But as this particular dilemma started to surface and the friction became more and more consistent from day to day, I found myself not wanting to go to work. And I did not like that because I liked my job, I liked my career, but I just didn't like having this level of friction with a coworker who was actually my superior, and I never had an issue with my boss up until that time. So it was a new experience, and I remember back then there were several factors that were going on in my personal life spiritually. Uh, one of which was my acceptance of my call into the ministry. And at that time, I was talking with the pastor, and at some point, I talked about that particular experience with him, and it was confirmed. And next thing I knew, I was preparing to preach my trial sermon, and it was an exciting time. In fact, there's a picture that my wife and I took at the Christmas party that personified the level of goodness in our relationship. And I remember as we were engaged in the demise of our relationship, how I would keep that picture on my nightstand, and I would look at that picture and I would cringe, and I would just wish that we could get that time back because it was precious time, and we had worked hard to get to that place of that level of happiness and fulfillment and contentment and joy and peace. And so when I finished the trial sermon, this is when the friction really heated up at work. And it was just difficult to show up to work each day. And, I was concerned because I didn't want to act out. I didn't want to do anything that would jeopardize my position. And, it was just a very, very difficult time in navigating through the course of each week with this friction, and it just was unbearable. I remember praying to God, God, please deliver me. Please fix this situation. This is bigger than me. I knew that as we learn in Ephesians the 6th chapter, that I was not warring with my coworker, his flesh. What I saw was not the problem. It was what I couldn't see. It was the principalities and the powers and all the things that are not in my direct view that I was engaged with. It was warfare, spiritual warfare. And so I asked God to deliver, and I thought there was a particular day where we had a meeting, and I thought that this meeting was going to yield the results that I was praying to God for, and that everything was going to work out. And, I left the meeting encouraged. I left the meeting feeling like, okay, this is finally dealt with. All the cards are laid out on the table, and I know what's going on. They know what's going on, and we're going to move forward. And to my surprise, the next week, I was not able to show up for work because my now disability kicked in then. And God systematically removed me not just from that job, but from my career. And I haven't worked since then, actually. And so when I was sharing this story today with Z, my neighbor, I was reminded of peace, the peace of God. And I just want to share the scripture. It's Colossians 3:15. And it says, "And let the peace of God rule in your hearts, to the which also ye are called in one body, and be ye thankful." And I want to just really put emphasis on the word rule in that scripture. It in the Greek word, which is bravuro. I never had Greek, but from time to time I just pick up these little jewels. Uh, in this particular lesson I got from Dr. Tony Evans back in the 90s, that Greek word means to rule, and the emphasis is on an umpire and how the umpire rules during the course of the game to keep order. And the scripture is instructing me that I need to allow peace to have that same rule in my life, like the umpire has rule over a baseball game. And I just remember when I heard Dr. Evans talking about this lesson, I remember how I used to like baseball when I was a kid. And how the game would have gone if the umpire wasn't there on first base and third base and at home plate, deciding whether a play was safe or out, deciding whether the pitch was a ball or a strike. And if the umpires weren't present, there would have been a whole lot of chaos going on in the baseball game. We would have been fighting. No, he was safe. No, he was out. No, that was a strike. That was a ball. That was not a strike. So on and so forth. And as a result, the game would have never been played to completion. And the same thing is existing in life. When chaos is present in my life, when there's this feeling of uncertainty, when there's this uneasiness, this anxiety, these things that creep up that create dis-ease in my life, God has given me a remedy for that, and it's peace. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit that comes as a direct result of my salvation. And this peace, it shows up at times when only God can give it to you. Paul said it best in the 4th chapter of Philippians that the peace of God which surpasses all understanding. And when this disability kicked in, I remember all of the fear and the anxiety and the emotional upheaval that was going on because I couldn't work, which was something I always did. But every once in a while, back in 2005, when I was suffering with pain every day, pre-surgical pain, God would give me these moments of peace, And when God shows up and allows this peace to reign, it's a wonderful experience. And the only way I know I can continue to have those experiences is by continuing to allow His Word to dwell in me richly, which is the next scripture in Colossians. The Word has to become alive. It has to become not just words in my head and my memory that I can recall at will, but actually a part of my existence. Where it just comes and it speaks to me when I need speaking to. And this thing of being more than a conqueror, having that position, having that particular designation is possible because of the power of God's Word in my life. And the direct result of that power at work in my life is peace. where God is at work and God is taking care of things far better than I can, it's an experience that I highly recommend. There's not a drug on this earth, there's not a drink in a bottle or can that I can consume that can even come close in comparison to the peace of God when it's reigning in my life. So if you haven't had this experience, check out the scriptures that I shared with you, and ask God for it, And if you've had it and you've been longing for it, it's easy to get it back. It comes through prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, having a grateful heart even if I don't like what's going on. Having the understanding that God knows and God cares and God is always there. I just need to connect with him. I just need to pull him into the situation and allow him to reign. And when he shows up and when he comes in and hangs out, he brings his peace with him. And that peace, it is infectious. That peace is addictive. That peace is the bomb. So I hope that you're enjoying the site. Give me feedback. Let me know what's going on, And I'll talk to you again soon. God bless you.